Mm. Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vokenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning. On today's show, Mali's military government tightens its grip by dissolving all political parties in a sweeping ban. In Tanzania, authorities arrest a top opposition figure ahead of upcoming elections, raising alarm among democracy advocates. Libya's capital experiences rare calm following intense militia clashes. France and Algeria engage in a diplomatic standoff, expelling each other's officials. In Zimbabwe, the arrest of students protesting for better education sparks outrage. And from South Africa, Arrie Hougaard brings us the current affairs, sport and entertainment updates. Watch the show on DStv 285, GOtv 25, 1up2.com and NTV Africa on YouTube. Top story shortly. Mali's military junta has officially dissolved all political parties and organizations with political character across the country, a move broadcast on state television and endorsed by junta leader Assimi Goïta. This sweeping ban follows a pattern of escalating repression since the junta seized power through successive coups in 2020 and 2021. Despite initial promises to hold elections, Goïta is now expected to remain in power until at least 2030. The dissolution comes just weeks after a national conference, boycotted by opposition groups, recommended extending his rule, sparking condemnation from human rights groups. A recent pro-democracy protest led to the abduction of two opposition leaders, intensifying fears of political persecution. While the decree warned Malians not to defy the ban, it did not specify penalties. Opposition figures have yet to officially respond, though some like Nahum Togo hinted at resilience. The junta continues to align with military regimes in Burkina Faso and Niger, distancing itself from France and ECOWAS. In our next story, Tanzanian authorities have arrested Amani Golugwa, a senior official from the opposition Chadema party, as he attempted to depart for a political conference in Belgium. His arrest at Julius Nyerere International Airport was confirmed by police, who claimed he had a history of leaving and returning to the country without following legal procedures. The detention comes amid mounting concern over a crackdown on political dissent ahead of the country's October elections. Just weeks earlier, Chadema leader Tundu Lissu was arrested and charged with treason following public rallies challenging the electoral process. The International Democracy Union, which had invited Golugwa to Brussels, condemned the arrest as a violation of democratic norms and demanded his release. Chadema has accused the government of President Samia Suluhu Hassan of suppressing opposition voices despite her public assurances of upholding human rights. The Election Commission had since barred Chadema from the elections over its refusal to endorse a controversial code of conduct. Fighting in Tripoli, the worst seen in years, subsided on Wednesday following a government-announced ceasefire, bringing brief relief to residents trapped in their homes by violent clashes between rival factions. Tensions erupted after the killing of militia leader Abdul Lagani Kigli, leading to fierce overnight battles between forces loyal to Prime Minister Abdul Hamid al-Beibam and the Special Deterrence Force, the last major group not aligned with the government. The 444 and 111 brigades, allied with Beibam, swiftly moved to dismantle Kigli's stabilization support apparatus, consolidating power in the capital. Neutral police units were deployed around sensitive areas, while the UN voiced alarm over the violence in densely populated neighborhoods. Tripoli's instability reflects Libya's ongoing struggle for unity since the 2011 fall of Muammar Gaddafi, with fears rising that continued unrest could draw in factions from beyond the capital. Despite this, oil operations in the south and east remain unaffected by the turmoil. France has expelled Algerians holding diplomatic passports who were in the country without visas, escalating a diplomatic spat after Algeria expelled 15 French officials. The French Foreign Ministry summoned Algeria's charge d'affaires on Wednesday to deliver the message, also warning of a possible further action depending on developments. Although France did not disclose the number of Algerians expelled, the move reflects worsening relations between the two countries, whose ties have long been strained by colonial history and recent political disagreements. Tensions reignited last year when President Emmanuel Macron sided with Morocco in the Western Sahara dispute, angering Algiers. While there was a brief easing of hostilities following French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot's visit to Algiers last month, the mutual expulsions resumed shortly after. Algeria's state press agency announced France's charge d'affaires had been told the expelled French officials were in irregular positions, but confirmed on BFM television that diplomatic relations are now totally blocked. Former Zimbabwean finance minister and lawyer Tendai Biti has announced the arrest of 6 University of Zimbabwe students who were detained after holding a peaceful protest in solidarity with their lecturers, calling it a gross constitutional violation. The students were advocating for improved salaries and working conditions for lecturers who have been on strike for over a month. They also demanded the postponement of end-of-semester exams, arguing that the ongoing strike had severely disrupted learning. Despite the peaceful nature of the demonstration, campus and state security officials apprehended the students and handed them over to the Avondale police station, where they were charged with disorderly conduct before being released. BT slammed the arrests as an attack on constitutional rights, branding the government a pariah tin pot republic. The Zimbabwe National Students Union vowed to challenge the charges, saying they were simply demanding quality education in return for full tuition payments. Before we have a look at the weather predictions, I should let you know that shortly we'll be talking to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. One of the stories we'll be talking about is Eskom considering, well, South Africa actually considering nuclear power in order to power up Eskom and, of course, to create more capacity. And we also now know that President Cyril Ramaphosa will be visiting Donald Trump next week, Wednesday. Stay with Africa. Good morning. All right, so we'll come back to the weather shortly, but first we will talk to Arrie Hougaard as promised. Good morning, Arrie. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin, and nice to talk to you. Good morning.
It's good to have you on the show. Now, Arrie, I'm just going to go through your current affairs headlines here. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's budget speech is a major focus for South Africans, understandably so. South Africa plans to invest in nuclear power to boost Eskom's capacity, which I think is quite reasonable. And relations between South Africa and the USA remain strained. We'll see if Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to Trump changes that. Do get into your current affairs.
Ashman, not sure if you can hear me still, but I will continue. It sounded like I lost you, but let's continue. Yes, President Ramaphosa most likely to be in the United States next week. That was more confirmed from the United States side, and it was Mr. Trump, President Trump in America, that said in a news briefing on Monday that said that South Africa President Ramaphosa will visit in the USA. So it's not confirmed yet from the South African side, but it was the presidency that said they took note of that, and it's very advanced stages to be confirmed, and it's most likely to be on Wednesday. So it's a very quick trip for him then to the USA. So that's some of the posters. That's stop the farmers put on, and it is those are the refugees, so-called refugees that went to the United States. So current affairs that is bubbling is that was in the news, the 49 people that went over to the USA as refugees. Maybe I can go to the NAMPO farmers exhibit, or the show that's going on in Bothaville. So for the first time in a long time, it was Mr. President Ramaphosa that visited that site. So he visited Bothaville for the first time in 20 years. And it was, for the last 20 years, he's not been at the NAMPO, and it was good for him to visit because he's got the farmers there. And he made a big statement. He said that the people that fled South Africa taken a cowardly way, and he predicted that they'll be back again. But also had good discussions with the people and with the farmers there on the ground. And they said that they feel uncomfortable about their safety. So that is a big concern still for South Africans. And stop farm murders, as you can see there, is a big issue. There's been concern that those figures are not right, and those figures are not right that President Trump is talking about. But the official figures in South Africa at the moment, it's still sad, but the reality is that 32 people died in murders on farms. In 2024, it was 52. The year before that, in total since 1990, there's been 2,297 murders officially on farms. So it is reality. It is happening. Maybe the one biggest concern there is that 95% of those cases are unsolved. Just a reality of what's happening in the farming community. In agriculture, there's 30,000 official farmers in South Africa, 30,000, and the whole industry adds up to about 240,000 if you can include farm workers and the whole industry around that. So it's a big component of South Africa. So hopefully things will settle down, especially with President Ramaphosa going to the United States, and looking forward to the G20 conference that's also going on in South Africa. Is the president's hosting that, and there were rumblings that President Trump will not be present later this year in the G20. So hopefully that can also be sorted out. Let's see if all those meetings go well this coming Wednesday, hopefully in the United States. Moving on to Eskom, as you said, yes, there's lots of progress being made by Eskom. We're not sure at what cost it is always made. That is Minister of Energy and Electricity, Consenso Ramaphosa. And the concern is the high cost of diesel for South Africa to generate the electricity. But it was the minister that confirmed that, said that with winter coming up, good news, that he said that it's looking good for South Africa to still have sufficient electricity, not to have load shedding. So there was some load shedding in the week, just stage 2 load shedding at certain areas because of maintenance that was done, that was planned maintenance. So 3 reasons why we will have a better winter. We have about 2,500 megawatt buffer. That is what the president say for the winter. Also 2 units that was added, and it is Koeberg that will be online. That's Koeberg in Cape Town. They will be online, both their units, from the 1st of July. And then also 2 units that's back is Kusile and Medupi, unit 6 and 4 there. So there's capacity is a lot better, and then they look to increase that with more capacity in time to come. So at the moment, unfortunately, the diesel bill is 1 billion South African rand a month. 1 billion South African rand a month that we pay for diesel for creating electricity. Over the past 5 years, it was 65 billion South African rand. So lots of money spent on electricity. But hopefully, we will have a winter. We will have continuous electricity, no load shedding.
All right, Arrie, now we move over to your sport. The Proteas men's cricket team face Afghanistan in their Champions Trophy opener on Friday, and the Springboks have got their hands full as of November.
Yes, Ashwin, it is the sport line. There's cricket coming up. It's a big game going to be played at Lords in London. That's the championship, the Test Championship final. So it was a big process to get there over years, actually. So it's just one final game that's been played against Australia. That's Kagiso Rabada. He's been included in the 15 team 15-man team that was announced. Only 11 will walk onto the field. But he was in the news, of course, for unfortunately recreational drugs that he was guilty for. He served a 1-month suspension, but he's in the team. And also one player there is Dane Peterson. So he's been experienced in playing in England. He's been playing county cricket there. So that's Lords. That's where the test will be played, a neutral ground for those two countries, Australia and South Africa, from the 11th of June to the 15th of June. So it's probably going to be between Lungi Ngidi and Dane Patterson, who will be the partner to bowl with Kagiso Rabada taking the new ball probably. So that's all coming up in the cricket side. And then there's UFC boxing as well, or fighting. South Africa do have a champion in that, and that is Dricus du Plessis. And you can see there's the poster, and that's been announced and confirmed on the 16th of August. That will be in Chicago in the United States. It is Dricus du Plessis that will defend his title against the Russian Khamzat Chimaev. And Chimaev is undefeated in 16 fights, so that's going to be quite tough. It's a crazy way to fight in those cages. Dricus du Plessis is a worthy champion, but it's interesting to watch, but it's definitely not something that I will attempt to do. But that's coming up. It's the 16th of August. It's a 22,000-seater, they call it, the United Center in Chicago. So big UFC title fight confirmed in America.
All right, Arrie, I was hoping for that Springbok update, but I think we'll get into it next week. Now, getting into entertainment and tourism, tell us about the Kruger National Park remaining a top tourism destination, as well as the Africa Green Economy Summit.
Yes, tourism. Yes, so Grabie's National Falls is a beautiful place to visit. Just look at that photo with all the water coming down. It's the Orange River, South Africa's biggest river. So that's the Grabie's Falls National Park. And there was lots of good rain in the northern parts of South Africa. So that river is coming down stronger and stronger. So it's a popular place to visit. And it's 120 kilometers west of Upington. It's actually close to the Namibian border. A beautiful place to visit. And the park is big. It's 870 square kilometers. And it's not only the river running through, there's lots of wildlife as well. They call it the place of great noise, and that's because the noise it's making because of all the water coming down. Actually, it was first founded in 1778. That's by a Swedish mercenary, but I think it was maybe documented first in 1778 is the right way to put it. I'm sure that it was founded way before that by people in South Africa, but it was documented from 1778. The gorge is quite deep. It's a gorge that goes for 18 kilometers, and at the waterfall it's 240 meters deep and 56 at one stage. So it's a great granite erosion that created that. So it's a beautiful place to visit. It's the wildlife, of course, there as well. That is a gemsbok, and there's also springboks and kudu and eland. So it's a place well worth visiting. South Africa very proud of what they offer for tourism. And so the Grabie's, you can make a note if you come to South Africa. Not far from Namibia, actually, just across the border in the Northern Cape, visit the Grabie's Falls National Park, and it's a great experience. So that's all the news from South Africa, and hopefully from South Africa's side, all the meetings from President Ramaphosa with the US President this coming week will all go well.
Certainly, Arrie. I noticed we got our headlines a bit mixed up there. I think it's because of the gazillions of conversations we have on South Africa. But thank you very much for bringing us the news stories.
Thanks, Ashwin. Nice talking. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
All right, that's been our South Africa report with Arrie Hougaard. Let's have a look at the weather. In economic news, a trade dispute between Malawi and Tanzania has severely disrupted the banana trade, leaving Malawian fruit sellers without supplies and income. In 2013, a devastating virus wiped out most of Malawi's banana crops, forcing the country to rely on imports primarily from Tanzania. However, Malawi recently imposed a temporary ban on imports of certain agricultural products to support local industries and address foreign exchange shortages. In response, Tanzania retaliated by banning all agricultural exports to Malawi, escalating tensions and further impacting regional trade. The standoff highlighted Malawi's dependence on Tanzania for goods and port access, with trucks stranded at borders and essential imports delayed. Though high-level diplomatic talks have led to the lifting of the bans, logistical challenges remain. Experts say the incident exposes Africa's broader struggle to promote internal trade despite regional agreements. While trade has resumed, many traders are still recovering from the disruption and longing for local production to return. All right, that's been our economic news story. Let's have a look at the indicators. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Of course, we spoke to Arrie Hougaard as he delivered the South Africa report talking about President Cyril Ramaphosa's pending visit to the United States of America, which is going to be on next week, Wednesday. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. Eskom is trying to increase its capacity. The Proteas look to face Afghanistan and, of course, the entertainment and tourism from there. But these were some of our other top stories. Military rulers in Mali dissolve all political parties. Tanzania arrests opposition official traveling to political conference. Libya fighting calms after truce announced. France expels Algerian officials in tit-for-tat measure. Minister says ties totally blocked. A gross constitutional violation. ET condemns arrest of University of Zimbabwe students. We need our bananas back. Traders left in limbo amid Malawi and Tanzania spat. DStv 2 at 5, GOtv 25, oneup2.com, and NTV Africa is precisely where you can find us. Tomorrow, we still zone in on the top stories coming from Africa, but we also put a lens on Namibia. From me, Ashwin Berry, and the Africa Good Morning team, Sweraja Ganaka.